Welcome, folks, once again to another session of Let's Chat with me, Meor Addelan. COVID-19. No other news matter right now in the world apart from COVID-19. It has been around since late December last year, hence why it's called 2019, right up until today, and we are still very much in the thick of things, in the middle of this global pandemic. And unfortunately, the US of A, that's it, folks, America is leading the charts, unfortunately, in regards of number of cases and the number of deaths that's happened because of this global pandemic. And to discuss more about this pandemic and her experience being a resident down there in the United States, ladies and gents, may I introduce to you guys Juliana Hussin. Hi, Juliana.
Hey, Meor, how's it going?
I'm doing good. For people who may not really understand the situation, or for people such as myself who've only been receiving news from the media, maybe you can paint a bit of a picture on how it is down there in the States in regards of what's happening in relations to the COVID-19, Juliana.
So, my experience in LA, I feel like it's a little blown out of proportion. The hospitals don't seem to be as crazy as it's made out to be, but it could be that I'm just in an area where there's a lot of people who are healthy, and it's a lot more spread out here in LA. So don't feel like I know anybody who's had COVID. A couple of people that I do know that have tested positive, but they didn't have any symptoms, and it's just not. It doesn't feel to me living here as crazy. The difference is you can't do your normal everyday things. You have to wear masks, and obviously a lot of things are closed, or businesses have had to change the way they do things. Like many things are done outside. It's just different in the way we're living our lives, but I haven't experienced anybody that I know who's been sick, or I've heard a couple people who have gotten it but have recovered. So for me, it hasn't been like anybody really seriously ill with COVID.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I think it's also specifically in regards of where you are residing. I mean, like in regards of, as you mentioned, because I do have friends down in New York as well, and when they were telling me the story, it is quite horrific because, like he said, almost every other second he would hear ambulance going in and out and everything because he was staying close to the Columbia University where the hospital is and everything. So it was quite mayhem, if I may say so, down there. But LA, not so much.
I'm living really close to Cedar Sinai, and I just don't feel the panic in terms of COVID. We were more affected by the protests and things like that. Obviously, Rodeo Drive got affected, and Santa Monica and all of that. But in terms of COVID, I have a lot of people in medical that I know, and the hospitals aren't as crazy as it seems on the media. I'm sure it's bad. Don't get me wrong, it's there, but it in LA it's not as bad as New York or maybe Florida. People are taking precautions here. Most of my friends, we take precautions. We wear masks. We're all carrying hand sanitizer. People are healthy here. A lot of people, when they go walking, maybe they'll take their mask off, but as soon as they see somebody else, they'll put it back on. So, there's a lot of kind of respecting other people's space and things like that.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that I do want to talk to you about, because again, whatever it is that has been delivered to us in regards of media, we're talking about your big media, your American media and everything. It seems like the Americans, they do not know what it is that they're doing. Their public is really not that intelligent enough to be proper, to wear masks, to respect social distancing and everything. But what are you telling me right now is that people are adhering to all of this precaution, all of these procedures to make sure that they, not just they themselves, but people out there are also being safe. Now, is this just propaganda from the media, you think? Or it is totally different from, again, from the locality of where you are?
You know, here are my thoughts on it. We have been having such conflicting directions from our mayors, from our governors, and all of that. So one minute we're having to do this, the next minute we're having to do that. You know, they didn't close the borders, so people are flying in and out freely, which is probably why a lot of Americans can't visit other countries. You know, I know friends who are flying from New York to LA to Miami to wherever, and they're, you know, they're doing their thing, taking precautions, of course, but they're within the United States. It's you know, travel is pretty open, and I mean, the airports are quiet. Don't get me wrong. People aren't. Not everybody wants to travel, but we haven't closed the borders. I think it's the travel that's, you know, spreading COVID actually. But in general, on a daily basis, what I'm seeing from LA, you know, people are wearing masks. There are that small percentage of people who won't. You know, we have Orange County, which is, it's 30 minutes away from here, and you get there and no one's wearing masks. They just have a different attitude. It's kind of like beach city, you know, very kind of laid back. So they think it's nothing and a hoax. But then you also have other people who are wearing, you know, it's really confusing, because it's not like all of America is against COVID and think it's not real. That's not true. Many people here are afraid of it. They're taking precautions, and you know, I just feel like it's the direction's not there. You know, the direction's just not there.
Does this also mean that, you know, the fact that there's lack of direction means there's just lack of leadership, or it's just that people, they just don't know what to say anymore? Because apparently whatever it is that they are enforcing is not being done by the people, some of it, or even the minority bit of it. So maybe they just give up and just like hope for the best.
No, I don't think it's that. You know, the thing about America is it's you know, they're all about freedom, and you know, this COVID is a conspiracy theory. So it's like a lot of people really don't think it's real. And, you know, they think that it, you know, I'm sure you've heard about the whole Bill Gates thing and being tracked. And it's like, hello, we're being tracked every day with our phones, with our computers.
Yeah.
So,
And 5G causes COVID as well, right? So you heard about that one?
Yeah, like I mean, it's ridiculous. And what I feel very proud to be Malaysian because of how I've seen the way that it's been handled there, where the army came in. I mean, my parents have been telling me, you know, one person gets it in a condo and the army is surrounding the condo building and not allowing anybody in or out. The problem here is there's no tracking. Now, my older daughter went to Hong Kong. You know, her father lives in Hong Kong. So I sent my older daughter, and she had to be under house arrest for 2 weeks. You know, they landed, they got tested. They have to wear a bracelet, and they're monitored. And, you know, and you have to be a resident or a child of a resident or relative of a resident to go there. America doesn't have such rules. You know, I just don't feel like we have such rules, but people don't even want to come here anyway. So I don't see a lot of traveling happening anyway. But
that's the thing, because yeah, exactly as you mentioned, it's all about tracking. It's all about having that SOP, that standard operating procedure, having a proper guideline on what it is that you need to do. And you can't really blame the fact that, you know, America is big. You have a lot of people over there, 320 million plus. Look at China. They have over 1 billion people there, but they still were able to actually control. I mean, now with this current situation, China's numbers may not be as severe as it was before because they followed the rules. It's this freedom mentality, this I want to be free, I have my rights mentality. That's
Exactly.
what's stopping from people to follow the rules, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's, you know, they're not looking at the bigger picture things. The more we try and break the rules, the longer we're going to be in this. I mean, back in March, you know, because obviously I'm taking lead from China because my ex-husband is in China. So they were on lockdown since, February, I think.
Agreed.
And I'm just watching how it is there because they're still on lockdown. My daughter's there, so she's filling me in on everything. They have a curfew of 6 p.m. It's like the borders are closed. So it's once you're quarantined for 2 weeks, then you know who has it. So it's just a lot more organized. And here it's like, people are getting tested and all of that kind of thing, but then they get it, and then what? People, there's people actually going. They're throwing COVID parties here. I heard. I was with my driver, my Uber driver, and he was telling me that they put up this the plexiglass, and they're wearing all their stuff because they're driving people to COVID parties, which is scary for drivers too, and it's a thing because they want to get infected because they think it's not a thing, they think it's not gonna do anything. So it's really tough because not all Americans think the same, but there is this whole thing where they don't want to be controlled, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, we have to really be clear on this because we're not saying that all Americans are like this. I mean, like, I believe the majority of the Americans, they want to live their lives as it was before, isn't it, Juliana?
Yeah, I mean, who wants to walk around with a mask for the next year?
No,
it's
I don't.
No one wants to live like that. But in order to, figure it out until they know what this disease is doing, because people, it's just been around for less than a year, so we don't know how it's going to mutate and behave and all of that kind of thing, and we just have to wear our bloody mask and get on with it.
Maybe you can share with us a few things that impressed you the most. I mean, you did mention about how the Malaysian government has actually rolled out the army and everything, but throughout this whole time, again, let me just read you the current numbers right now. Malaysia is very well down the list of the countries who are affected directly with this COVID-19. So what are you impressed about Malaysia right now, and what things that you wish that the American government would have implemented or could implement, such as what Malaysia was doing?
Well, to be honest, I was living in Malaysia for 5 years, and I hadn't lived there before. I just visited, and I never thought people would obey. I mean, living there, Malaysians are very carefree and very kind of, what's that thing they say all the time, like, okay lah, or kind of, that kind of, laid back. They're very laid back. So I'm so proud that everybody kind of stuck together and followed the rules, and didn't riot and things like that, and it's really impressive. And the sad thing is, they're not broadcasting that around the world. There are certain social media outlets broadcasting it, but you don't see that on the news, BBC News or any of the news stations here. And it's like I feel really proud, and I'm always sending my friends the video of that guy who's made that little small social media video about Malaysia being really great in handling COVID. You know who I mean, right?
Juliana, Hussin, thank you so much for coming on the show, for sharing us your stories about how it is in LA. We do hope that you will keep it safe, you will keep it well down there with everything that's happening, you and your family, of course. Be well, be safe, and God bless, Juliana. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
All right, that was Juliana, folks, talking to us down in LA. And yeah, it's very different situation down. I mean, in comparison, if you compare Malaysia to US, to Hong Kong, to London, to England and everything. But whatever it is, what's important is that we are still in this together. We are still in this. We still need to adhere to SOPs. Please take care of yourselves. Please make sure that you follow all of the rules and regulations, because we do want a better future moving forward. That's it for this week, folks. That's it for this episode. Hope to see you guys again on the next one. We'll see you then.